I'm a UX writer at a department called Wix eCommerce, and I mostly work on an app called Wix Stores, where we try to help anybody sell anything they want online. And today I want to show you guys a case study from Wix Stores when we were working on the product page in our users' websites. So I'm sort of presenting, a case study of what Tammy was telling you guys about, because it's really this flow, this experience that they're trying to create in the accessibility department is what we used to make our product more accessible. But really, this isn't about me so much. So I want to introduce you everybody to my grandpa, Mike, and my little nephew. My grandpa was an educator, a teacher, a school principal his entire life. He lives in South Africa. I definitely get my sense of humor from him. And he started losing his vision 10 years ago. So at the beginning, he could use a magnifying glass. So he would use it to, watch TV, read books. But it slowly deteriorated, and he lost his vision completely. And for a few years there, he mostly kind of listened to the TV, tried to find a way to communicate with the world. He lost most of his independence, so he couldn't do almost anything by himself. And that was obviously very frustrating for him. So a few years back, my grandma heard about this voice-activated speaker that he could use. She wasn't very optimistic because he didn't really want to learn new technology at his age, but they bought it anyway. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it changed his life, right? It gave him his life back. So now he sits with it. He can ask it what the weather's like. He can book things. He can listen to sports. He can read audiobooks. And it means that he doesn't need other people. And that's so important, that independence that he got back. So I guess there's a lot of reasons to make your product accessible, and Neil and Tammy spoke about some of them, like if you don't want to miss out on a huge percentage of your potential customers. But for me, when I try to design accessible products, I think about my grandpa, and I think about how easy it is for me to change somebody's life in that way. Just by making a little bit more effort, I can make sure that they get their independence back. That's pretty amazing to me. So I have the why. Let's talk a little bit about the how. So when we talk about accessible content, we kind of divide it into two types of accessible content. The first is visible content, where Tammy was talking a little bit about it. All of the things that you see on the screen, so basically, images, text, writing simple text, no jargon, stuff like that. And the second is hidden content. So content that only exists behind the scenes. So only screen readers can really see it. And it helps people who are not using, the visible content that most of us see on screen navigate the internet. And when we talk about hidden content, a lot of times we talk about something called ARIA attributes. ARIA is short for Accessible Rich Internet Applications. Doesn't really matter. You don't have to remember it. And it's those are attributes and roles that you give to elements on the internet. You add pieces of code. You add to the HTML or your code to make it more accessible to people with disabilities. So basically, to explain to screen readers how to describe the website they're describing to people who are using it. So this is all a little bit confusing. Let's see an example. This is from our product page at Wix. We call this the social bar. Those are buttons that you can use to share products with other people through social platforms. And this element looks innocent enough, very easy to understand if you're a sighted user. But it's actually comprised of a few different elements in the code. So the first one is this big container that surrounds it. It has a role. The role is navigation. And it has something called an ARIA label that describes it or gives it meaning. And that is share on social. And then it has a smaller container. And that also has a role, and that role is a list. And then each of these buttons also have a role that is a list item and an ARIA label to describe them. That's either Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever the button leads to. And for screen readers, it sounds sort of like, so it would be share on social navigation, list 4 items, Facebook link, 1 out of 4. Okay, so when you, if you're a sighted user and you look at a website, this is pretty clear to you, right? You immediately identify that this is like has 4 items. You would know it's a link because you hover over it and it has like a little linky thing. But a screen reader looks at this in the code, and if we don't tell it all of this information, it has no idea what to tell the user, right? It's, okay, these are buttons, good luck, right? So we have to give them all of this context to make sure that they can use our websites. So back to our case study. What we're doing right now with stores, or one of the things we're doing, is redesigning the product page or recreating it from scratch. And it's a really important part of every e-commerce experience. And as Tammy and Neil said, we at Wix believe that everybody should be able to experience the internet, right? So we want to make sure that it's accessible out of the box. So people can just use it, put it on their websites, and it will be accessible for everybody. And the reason why it's a bit unique and maybe harder is because it's very customizable, right? So our users, when they build their website, they use this as a template, but they can take parts out or change text, change colors. And we have to make sure that even if they change it, everything still remains accessible as much as we can, right? So you have to cater to all those different states. And let's do a little exercise. I'm gonna go show you guys the product page. Or not, I guess. Let's see, I think I had an image of it somewhere. Okay, so look at this. And try to guess what kind of hidden content or ARIA labels or whatever we need to have on this page. It's a little bit small, sorry, but try anyway. Yeah. Select size, yeah. What about it? Okay, yeah, we turn this we don't force people using screen reader to click anything to see the sizes. That's true. What else? Yeah, right, the colors are not accessible because you won't be able to see them. True. Although that's text that's on the screen, so the screen reader would be able to read it. Right, sorry. We were saying colors, placeholder text, and sizes. Last one, yeah. Yeah, we have to describe the picture, so alternative text for the image. Cool. So those were some really good guesses, but I am sorry to tell you, it's a trick question. Because just like you wouldn't write content or visible content for an experience without seeing how it works, and how it behaves, how people can engage with it, what people can do with it, you wouldn't write hidden content without actually understanding what you're writing for. So when I write for a hidden experience or for screen readers, I start by asking the usual questions. It's like, how does the product work? What can I click? What kind of information users already got from other pages on the website? How did they get here? What are their goals? So what are they trying to do on this page? What actions can they take? And once I have a very clear understanding of what this product is and how it works, then I get to the specific questions. What's the focus order? So that means if somebody's using a keyboard to navigate around the page, what is the order of the elements they'll get? What information they already get from their screen reader, right? Because screen readers, we have to help them, but they are getting some information from the HTML. And how are they going to discover the actions available to them? So if you're a sighted user and you look at a page, you can immediately identify all of the things you can do on it, but a screen reader user won't be able to. And then the questions are really important. It's important to know what you can ask. But it's also important that you have who to ask and the opportunity to ask. And that's where Tammy's team comes in. So when we created the product page, or we're still creating it, but so every once in a while, we have something called an accessibility review. And then we sit with our legendary accessibility engineer, who's hopefully still here, Neil. And we have our front-end developers, we have our writers, our designers, our PM. Everybody who we need to create a product needs to be in an accessibility review, because you can't create a full product without those people, right? So it's not just about me or just about the designer. We all have to be in the room because we all have a part to take in this experience. And we sit there and we ask all of our questions and we go through the product and we experience it from the point of view of somebody who can't see, right? We operate the screen reader, we try to navigate with the keyboard, and we see what happens. And those meetings for me are like a master class in hidden content, right? Because I wouldn't know anything without them. So I want to tell you guys about a few things that I learned during these meetings. And I'm by no means an expert yet, but I learned a lot. And I think these insights can help you design more accessible products as well. So the first thing I want to tell you is don't forget to look at the big picture, okay? So when you're using a website, you want to get through it as easily and as quickly as possible, right? I'm not planning, like I'm going shopping online. I don't want to spend 4 hours reading every single piece of text on that website, okay? I want to find my products and go. Screen reader users also want to find their stuff and go, okay? They don't want to sit through a million, different sentences that they don't need to read. Just like Nir showed before, they don't need all of that stuff in the middle. So you have to make sure that you're looking at the experience and you're seeing what kind of information they already got before, what information they'll get after. So they only hear things once when they need them and not again and again and again. I have an example, which I'm hoping I can show, but we're going to find out.
Hazel gold ring, group. Hazel gold ring, group. Hazel gold ring image. End of. Hazel gold ring, group. End of. Hazel gold ring, group. Thumbnail, Hazel gold ring, group. Thumbnail, Hazel gold ring button. End of. Thumbnail, Hazel gold ring, group. Thumbnail, Hazel gold ring, group. Thumbnail, Hazel gold ring button. End of. Thumbnail, Hazel gold ring, group.
Cool. So that's what our old product page was like. So I'll tell you guys how that happened. So as I said, we're offering a template. Okay, so people can upload whatever images they want, and we offer them the opportunity to put in alternative text. Obviously, we encourage it. We want them to, but we don't know that they'll actually do it. So we had to have, some kind of fallback or a default. And we thought, people usually upload pictures of their products, so it would make sense if the default was the name of the product. What we didn't realize is that, first of all, they already get the name of the product when they go into this page, obviously. They get it again later, and then if they have more than one image, it's just going to say the name of the product again and again and again, So it doesn't really make sense. In this case, it makes more sense not to have anything, okay, just saying it's an image, and not just adding content because we can or because we think it's accessible. So think of the big image and about what your users need to go through to get to this point.
Hazel gold.
No. Okay. So the other thing I learned is don't forget the interactions, right? So when you go to shopping on a website, unless you're reading an article about tomatoes, it's not going to be a static page. So people click on things, stuff happens. And when you click on something, you usually want to get feedback for it. So if I click on an add to cart button, like in this example, I'm getting a little bean, a nice check mark to tell me that it's been added to the cart. And something like this, when you look at a static page, you're not going to tell it's there. And you're not going to remember it. It's really easy to forget when you're just looking at the page. So you have to go through the entire product and look for those interactions, those feedbacks, those things that confirm to the user that what they've done was successful. Otherwise, the user is just going to sit there and wonder whether that thing was added to their cart or not. And they're going to leave, and they're going to go somewhere else. So in this case, for example, we added something called an ARIA label. And that's only read for screen readers. And it says, the product name or the product that you bought was added to the cart. And it's as simple as that. And, if we didn't have it, screen reader users wouldn't be able to use this page. So, it's easy and difficult at the same time. Number 3, so make sure you're compensating for lack of context. And what I mean by that is when you're looking at a page and you're a sighted user, you get information that you're not even realizing you're getting, right? Your brain, it looks at a title and it knows it's a title because of the size of it. Or it knows it's an error because it's red. So you have to compensate for these things. You have to tell the screen reader, this is an error. It doesn't know that it doesn't understand that it's red, so it's an error. It's not how it works. So when we go back to the example I showed earlier, when you look at this, you see you have 4 options. But a screen reader user, if we don't tell it it's a list with 4 options, they're never going to know when it ends, right? It just goes on and on and on. They don't know how many options they have. And, maybe in this case it's 4. But what if it's like a menu that has 20 items? It's never ending. Am I still on the menu? I don't know. So you have to tell them how many options are in this menu. It's really important. Number 4, cover the whole flow. This is, Tammy was talking about error messages earlier. They're really important regardless, but you have to remember them when you're working on hidden content, because at Wix and in general, we try not only to focus on what we call the happy flow, right? So, it's possible that a user is going to come in, start using your product, get to the end, buy things really quickly, be successful, go home, be very, very happy. But it's probably not going to happen, right? Because people make mistakes, they forget things, they get lost in the way, stuff doesn't work, and you have to cater for that experience. So screening the users also deserve to know what didn't work and how to fix it. Sorry. So in this example, in the product page again, we have error messages. And what happens is that when you click the Add to Cart button, we show these red, frightening error messages. And I guess in our old product page, we sort of assumed people are going to go up and find them, like when the screen reader, and going to navigate all the way up and just realize they're there. I don't know. They're probably not going to do it. They're probably going to go to another website. So in this case, what we realize we need to do, thanks. What we realize we need to do is tell them what's wrong immediately when they click the Add to Cart button, right? So you click Add to Cart, it takes you back up, tells you have to select the color, tells you have to select the size, and it's not leaving you hanging to just find out for yourself what went wrong. And the 5th and last and maybe most important is ask questions. Don't assume that you know what you're talking about if you don't. Everybody who's here today, some of you maybe know something about accessibility. Some of you don't know anything, and that's fine because it's not something we've been taught at school, right? I remember 6 months ago, I came to Tammy with a list of requirements, and I told her I don't know what most of these words mean. Okay, looking at this, I remember I was saying, I don't know how they expect me to know this. I'm a writer. This is what is this? This is code. And that's fine. But you have to make sure you're not assuming, right? So in my example, this is a text box. that we have on the product page that people can add to get information from their customers. So if you want something engraved on your watch, if you want a gift wrap or whatever. And we have a character counter there in the corner. And when we were talking about making this accessible, I said, we don't have to tell them what the number of characters is. They're not going to be typing anyway, right? They use a screen reader. They can't see. I was thinking, obviously, about the one screen reader user I know is my grandpa. But that's not true. Like, a lot of people with cognitive disabilities or, people who can't see but know how to use a keyboard are still using a keyboard. They still need to know how many characters have left. So this was an assumption that I had. I was embarrassed after, right? I was like, how didn't I think about that myself? But I shouldn't be embarrassed because we don't know and it's fine. Just remember to ask. So in this case, we decided to hide the character counter with something called an ARIA hidden. And we added another label. So it would say, what would you like engraved on your watch? Up to 500 characters. And that was as simple as that. But if I didn't ask, then I would just ignore it or find another solution, and I would miss part of the population or part of the people who are using this product completely. So that's it from me. I think we're sending out these presentations after. So these are a few resources that I am using or was using. First of all, I mentioned ARIA a little bit during this presentation. It's a whole world. There are a lot of different properties and attributes. Some of them you need to know as UX writer. Some of them are more relevant for devs. So there's a list there that you can see. Also, try a screen reader. Just open it on your computer. There's a default one in Mac and in PC, and you can buy others or download. See what the experience is like. Try your own product. See how it is. There is a very cool way to see in other websites or on your own website what the accessibility attributes are using DevTools. That's also a nice way to see what exactly other websites are using to make this website accessible. And there's also a really cool site called the Accessibility Project. And there's a lot of resources out there. So just try, just start. It's really complicated, but try, start. That's it.